Hey girl, hey! It's your girl, Monika Linn, and welcome back to my channel. Here's a quick disclaimer. This video is being filmed for educational purposes and educational purposes only. You guys are entitled to your own opinions. It's just like I am. Please keep it respectful, keep it cute, and here we go. Oh yeah, hold on, before I start filming. In case you haven't been here before, it's your first time, this is episode 5 of my series for OnlyFans horror stories. The ones I've done so far have not been that scary. This is episode 5. I'm planning on filming 5 videos a day and posting 2 a day. So hopefully the next day when I record, I find scarier stories, because these aren't really scary. They're just kind of creepy, but not scary. Yeah, basically it's just horror stories about people who've known people with OnlyFans and people who actually have OnlyFans. It's their experiences that, or quote unquote, their horror story or whatever. But anyways, let's get into this video. Let's start screen recording. Alright. Move this out of the way. Alright. Y'all ready?
What I'm about to tell you is something that you probably won't even believe happened. Hell, not even in my wildest dreams did I fathom something like this occurring. I can't even put into words how awful my fear and anxiety was that day. Never in my life have I had to actually fear for my safety, but needless to say, I definitely will not be using OnlyFans ever again. This actually happened when OnlyFans was not that known. It was around 2017, which was 1 year after OnlyFans was founded.
Okay, now, in episode 4 I asked questions about how long, how old OnlyFans is. 2017. Alright. It's not that old.
Across a page which I was rather intrigued by on my Instagram feed. I stumbled across a very cute girl from my hometown, but I never really knew her. This was a time in my life where I was really introverted and rather socially awkward, so I had a lot of people added on my social media who I probably never even talked to. The only reason I even had Facebook and Instagram was to
Don't you hate when people do that? They know dang well they don't know you, but they're gonna add you and don't have no intentions of talking to you. I hate those kind of people on Facebook. I really do.
And as a college student, for reasons unknown, many very attractive women would always add me back on Instagram. I initially thought this was due to the fact that we had mutual friends, or that I was just a very handsome man. But I eventually learned that following back was just a tactic to get more fame. It wasn't because of my charming looks. Now, I was the kind of guy that would constantly like and comment under many hot girls' posts on Instagram. Some would call me a simp. Whenever I got a reply or like back from one
Facts!
women, I would immediately go to the PayPal or Cash App in their bio and leave them a huge tip with a thank you note. For some reason back then, this is
why they call you a simp, bruh. That's exactly why.
Ego booster. I'm not exactly proud of this behavior today, but keep in mind that I was a rather different person back then. The sad part was my social anxiety prevented me from even
I wish somebody would send me 125 and she even giving them coochie. Hey, my Cash App is demonic. Hey, I need one of y'all to Cash App me 125 right now. I ain't doing that for it, but hey, y'all got money to send like that. Hey, send me 125, bro.
those girls.
That ain't a lot of money, but it's a lot of money, man. I can pay a bill with that.
I didn't even try to make small talk with them. As sad as it is, I honestly expected these women to just ask me out and start giving me attention with all these donations I gave them. So with all of this in mind, you could imagine I was rather thrilled to see a new link in one of my favorite girls' bios. I immediately opened it, and I was pleased with what I saw. The website was called OnlyFans, and now I could just subscribe and see any girl I want undress without having to constantly pay them and annoy them in the DMs. Even though I just found out another new money pit, I felt like I'd won $1 million. So I did what I'd naturally do, and I subscribed. I wanted to believe that I was her first subscriber, and it really did seem like it at first. Initially, she seemed a bit shy. She wasn't showing much of her body, and obviously this upset me. I was expecting a lot more for my $15 a month. What she was posting seemed to be
Damn, she charges as much as Netflix. He paid that $15. Wow. $15. She must do a lot of stuff for her thing. God damn.
You could just post.
Look at me. Didn't I tell you? She doing what she's supposed to do. She did what she's supposed to. She did what she's supposed to do. That's a. Well, actually, no. Everybody's still not worth $15. Let me not lie like that. But at least it's not $10. Like, and then the girl only had 10. From episode 1, they only had 10.
There was no nudity whatsoever. No nipples, no nothing. But me being the simp I am, I thought if I somehow just kept the subscription, she'd notice me and eventually text me first. A few months went by and things seemed relatively normal. She started posting some decent nude photos, but somehow I wanted to see more. Aside from college, I was working at Starbucks, and I put all of my money into donations for her.
How much do y'all get paid at Starbucks? I want to know. That needs to be my second job. If you have $125 to hand out, bruh, to strangers, and she was probably not the only girl that you said $125 to.
Oh, that she was the one. I really thought that we would just go out one day and become lovers. But one day, I found out that OnlyFans had a new feature. Now, you could DM your OnlyFans model and get more intimate photos. All you had to do was make a photo request and they'd send a link with the payment. I was delighted. Now, I could get more intimate content, more than just nudes. So I mustered all the strength I could to text her, and I did. After all, getting some nudes was a good enough excuse to talk. I was shaking like never before. I really didn't know what to expect. But after a few minutes, she replied. We eventually started to actually get to know each other. I couldn't believe it. It was actually happening. It started off with her sending a few nude photos for about $100, but then asked me if I'm from the same city as her. After looking up my profile on Instagram with the same username, which happened to be my full name unfortunately, she realized that she had come across me a few times in public before. I was sweating and almost gave myself an anxiety attack. I didn't want her to find out who I am. Normally online, I'd give myself a name like one of my favorite video game characters.
Wait, if you want her to eventually date you and go out with you, why wouldn't you want her to know who you are? I'm confused.
But this time, my browser automatically filled in my real first and last name, and I hit continue. I struggled to think of what to say. My mind was racing. She definitely had some mutual friends with me, and if they find out what I did online, they'd mock me endlessly at college. For some time, I tried to think of a way to escape the situation or leave the conversation, but I couldn't quite figure out anything. So I just answered with yes. From then on, we both got involved in an actual conversation. It turns out that she actually recognized me from college. She had seen me in person various times, and it turns out that one of her friends actually lives on the campus. We seem to have a lot in common, and we even realized that we were in the same place at the same time many times. We just never noticed each other. I was amazed. Never in my life did I think that I could have such a long and enduring conversation with someone, especially on OnlyFans. At this point, I was less interested in asking her for nudes, and more interested in asking her how her day was.
I'm trying to think what's about to happen with this. I feel like she is scammer. It's either somebody else has her account and using this information as part of her friend doing this, or it's really her and she just wants him to give her as much money as possible, so she's gonna make him think that she likes him. so she can keep getting more money out of him. Because he's gonna give her money just so she can talk to her. Yeah. Like he just sent $50 just to make sure that she answers to his DM. Like, yeah, I feel like she used him, and then that's the horror story.
Or how she was doing. It was almost like I finally had a genuine relationship with a girl for the first time in my life. I soon realized that money wasn't the way to win a girl. And the irony was she was spending way more time with me now than when I was spending money on her. But one day, she told me that I'm so nice that she wants to switch over to Instagram. She even let me know that I can call her and gave me her number. I was blown away. She really wanted to step up our relationship. I could finally get myself a real girlfriend. To be honest, I didn't even believe that this was possible. I genuinely thought I was just going to be single and behind a computer my whole life. Who knew I'd find my first girlfriend on OnlyFans? Things just kept getting better from there.
Did she become his girlfriend? That don't sound like nothing bad. But then again, like, that's not how I would want my first boyfriend. That's just me. I mean, that's probably not her first boyfriend, but I wanted, no.
We were texting on Instagram for a while, and I decided to actually call her. It was almost like I could feel a real connection with this woman. That was probably the first time I could call someone without getting a straight-up panic attack. When we talked on the phone, it felt like we had the same personality. We were identical in so many ways.
Oh, okay, alright. She's gonna do something that he's not gonna like, obviously. That's why he's on this little video. But yeah, when you guys are trying to learn somebody, please don't tell them too much about yourself. Like, allow that person to talk to, and then you talk. I'm not saying not to tell them nothing, but like, leave a mystery. Because if you're an open book with somebody, somebody who's trying to take advantage of you, all they're gonna do is mirror off of what you tell them. And you think that you guys are soulmates when really they're just repeating what you said. Like they're like a parrot. Like, you say one thing and then the parrot says another. I mean the same thing. You get what I mean? Like, you know, like, I'm not saying don't open up. Just be mindful. I learned that as a 25-year-old woman, yeah, when I dated a couple people. If you're too open with some people, you're setting yourself up. Like, just make sure that you don't always be the first to say something. Let them say something about themselves. Like, give it a balance. Because, yeah, somebody who's trying to play you, they're gonna, if you give them enough information to make it seem like, or they just eventually just assume and feel like they know you, they're just gonna say whatever you want to hear. But yeah.
Her voice was just so pleasant and comforting, and we talked for hours during the next few days. I really thought that she would be the one. For the first time ever, I didn't want to wait any longer. I wanted to meet her in person as soon as possible. She was happy with the news and eventually invited me over to her house. We agreed on a proper date and time and hung up the phone. I felt like I was on top of the world. After years of criticizing myself and feeling like I wasn't good enough, I finally got one. I always thought that I needed to be like one of those Instagram fuckboys, but it turns out that casual nice guys like me do get a chance. The day of the date came and I dressed myself up in...
I'm not saying that nice guys don't win. They do, baby, they do. But in this instance, I don't feel like he won. Because you could have... That's not the way to get a girlfriend. You should... If you're a customer or somebody, you should never... In any business or anything, don't mess with your customers. Because in a sense... It's too much confusion, too much, like, no, just no. There's a reason why, I keep bringing up strippers, but there's a reason why strippers don't mess with the Joes that come through there. I think that's what they call them. There's a reason why they don't mess with their customers.
Best clothes and went to a barber. I was so eager to meet her. I instantly booked an Uber and he took me to her neighborhood.
What if it's a prank? What if it's their... Nah, because like he actually talked to her on the phone. But I didn't get, like I said, it could be her friend.
When I was approaching her house, however, I noticed an awkward man standing behind a tree. He seemed really sketchy and had a hood on. I couldn't even see his face or eyes. Normally this would alarm me, but I was just so eager to go on a date with her that I shrugged it off. She opened the door and she was just as gorgeous as she was online, even prettier than I expected in person. She put her shoes on and we went for a walk. In the beginning it was a little awkward, but I eventually got over the moments of dead silence and started an actual conversation with her. She seemed a bit nervous too, but once we got the ball rolling, everything went well.
Hold on. This might be a setup. This is a setup. It's a setup. It's a setup. It's a freaking setup. Because that man standing in the corner and she acted like she didn't see him, it might be a setup. Or maybe it's just her stalker ruining her date. I don't know. I think it's a setup.
I had a really good conversation and didn't stop talking till the end of the date. I eventually walked her home and we waved goodbye. But as I was leaving, when I turned my head around to see what was happening, I noticed the same exact weird guy from before. He was awkwardly approaching me, at first trying hard to hide it by looking around or avoiding eye contact. But eventually he was around 10 feet away, and there was no hiding this time. "Hey you," the man asked. Yeah?" I replied. "Stop. Get over here." I stopped walking and turned around. Then he said, "Who are you to her?" Who am I to her? What kind of question was that? As I was trying to think of an answer, I looked back up at the man and noticed that he was getting insanely enraged. He had this crazed look in his eyes like he was about to hurt me or something. "You tried..."
Maybe it's her ex-boyfriend.
"My girlfriend?" "Boy, you crossed a line," the man said. "What? I'm sorry, I think you're mistaking me for..."
That's her boyfriend? He looked like a crackhead.
"Someone else. I really don't know what to say," I replied nervously. I started slowly backing away with my arm pushed out in front of me just for protection. I looked down at his hands and he had them both inside his hoodie front pocket. I saw his facial expression change from enraged to even more furious. He started breathing heavily and clenched his teeth in anger. "You shouldn't have come here," the man said. He then pulled out a gun from his front pocket and started firing it at me. I just fell on the sidewalk. I was in so much shock that I couldn't even feel any pain or take a breath. I just stared at him bluntly and...
Well, honestly, he didn't die. Did he miss? He shot a couple of times, bro. Oh my god.
Adrenaline pumping through every ounce of my body. He then looked around and took off. After a few seconds, I let out a big, delayed scream. The adrenaline subsided and I felt like the worst pain in my life. I glanced around and I saw two big holes in the front of my knees. He shot me through both of my legs. I curled up in pain and started to black out. I was slowly drifting away and I completely lost consciousness. I woke up in the hospital, still in disbelief of what happened. My mom was sitting on a chair next to my bed asleep. She woke up quickly with a big smile and tears on her face. She explained to me what happened. One of the neighbors heard the gunshots and then spotted me in a puddle of blood. The guy that shot me had been taken into custody.
First of all, why didn't the girl come out? This is why I think it's a setup. Did they get all his belongings? Did they got his wallet? Like, I feel like that was a setup.
A few hours later, I had a few operations, but she told me that I would eventually walk after a long amount of time. I was devastated. I cried a lot that day. I asked myself why this could even happen. Why me? I could still feel the stabbing pain in my legs. It was unbearable. I couldn't sleep for the next few days. I could still feel the holes inside my knees, the bullets going into my leg. It was the worst pain of my life. I could barely move. That same day, I got a text from the girl I went on a date with, and it explained everything. The man was a subscriber to her OnlyFans like me. He also liked her and followed her on all social media. The only difference was the man was severely mentally ill, and he genuinely believed that she was his girlfriend. He often stalked her around town and somehow managed to track down her house. He was hiding there daily behind the trees and bushes, making sure no one else would come to her house. She didn't even know this until the cops brought out the neighbor's security camera footage. He really believed in some sort of imaginary relationship, and...
Well, never mind. It wasn't a setup. I swear it was a setup. It sounds sus to me. But, I'll let this finish. I swear that was the setup, bro. Y'all couldn't tell me nothing.
He thought that she was cheating on him by going out with me.
Another thing, it's the delusion for me.
After a few months, my health got a bit better, and I gained my knee strength a bit back. According to the doctors, my legs would never be the same. The medics said that the human body rarely recovers completely from gunshot wounds, and that I probably would never be able to run or be able to do any heavy activity on my legs for the rest of my life. I lost contact with the girl shortly after that.
Now, she ain't worth a damn. You went through all of that to go be with her, and she's just gonna leave you hanging after a couple of days after an incident like that. She ain't showing no remorse.
There's too many emotions tied with her, and there was no way I'm letting something like this happen again to me. She didn't seem to want to delete her OnlyFans account either, so both of us went our separate ways. I still don't know what happened to that man who shot me. Part of me feels bad for him and his condition, but the other half of me wants him to spend years in prison. I will never forgive him for the permanent damage to my legs. And that was the last time I ever went on OnlyFans.
Yeah, as you should, bro. As you should. I'm trying to make sure it doesn't play while I'm talking. I'll take this off. But anyways, that concludes episode 5 of my OnlyFans horror story series. Well, that was messed up. It made my legs hurt. Oof, it really did. But thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your man, tell your woman, tell your mom, tell your dad, tell everybody to subscribe to me. Thank you again for joining me on my series. And don't forget, click the subscribe button down below. Another thing, just be careful with people, with these men and these women. Because that girl really ain't worth nothing for leaving her hanging like that. I can't believe she just stopped talking to him after that. Like, she's not part of the reason why he's traumatized. I ain't saying it's all her fault. She can't help that. That man was doing that. But it's like, if it wasn't for her, when him go on a date with her, then he would have met that man. Right? So, man, you need to hold some kind of accountability for, or feel some kind of bad. It's like, oh, girl. Anyways, thanks for watching. See you on the next episode of my OnlyFans series. OnlyFans horror story series. Bye!